Namaskar and good morning to all present here. With immense pleasure and great honor, I extend a warm and cordial welcome to all respected academicians, dignitaries, researchers, students, and distinguished guests present here today in this national seminar on Viksit Bharat 2047, Tribes and Contribution Towards Sustainable and Inclusive Development. This seminar is being organized by the Department of Economics, K.C.Das Commerce College, in collaboration with the National Small Industries Corporation Limited, Govt of India, and also supported by NETFI and NABARD. Today's seminar seeks to deliberate upon the vision of a developed India by the year 2047, focusing particularly on sustainable growth, inclusiveness, innovation, entrepreneurship, and socio-economic transformations. Now, let us start today's inaugural program, which our college anthem as a mark of honoring the spirit of our institution, and I request Bharat to play the audio-visual presentation of our college anthem. Thank you, everyone. Please take your seats. Now, with great honor, I'd like to invite our esteemed dignitaries to the dais for the inaugural session. May I first request Dr. Viksit Principal, K.C.Das Commerce College, to kindly come to the dais. I'd next like to invite Sri P.V.S.L.M. Murthy, says, may I now request Sri Lokendas Sir, CGM Nabard, kindly to join us on the dais. I now request Sri Rajesh Madan, GM NSIC, Guwahati, to take his seat on the dais. It is my proud privilege to invite Professor Ajitaba Rai Chaudhuri, former professor, Jadavpur University, who will be the keynote addresser for today's inaugural session. Kindly to grace the dais. We are deeply honored to have with us the newly elected Honorable MLA of Central Guwahati, Sri Bijoy Kumar Gupta sir. I request him to kindly grace the dais. May I now request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly come forward for the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. I request our students to help the dignitaries at the dais in lighting the lamp. May I also request our President, Sri Amlandit Das sir, on the dais, sir. May the light of knowledge continue to guide us towards wisdom, progress, and national development. Thank you, respected dignitaries. We shall now proceed to the felicitation of our respected keynote speaker and esteemed guest. With a token of gratitude and appreciation, I request Principal Sir to kindly felicitate Professor Ajitaba Rai Chaudhuri. Rai Chaudhuri Sir is being felicitated with a Saran Sagar of Arai, a mark of Assamese tradition and culture. Few college publications. Again, I request Principal Sir to felicitate our Honorable MLA Sir Vijay Kumar Gupta. He is felicitated with a Kulanga Musa, a memento, and few college publications. Now I request again Principal Sir to felicitate Sri K.C.Das Sir, CGM Nabard. Sri Rajesh Madan Sir from NSIC. Sri Amlandip Sir, Honorable President, Governing Body of K.C.Das Commerce College. Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the end of felicitation ceremony. I now invite Dr. Rishikesh Barwa Sir, Principal K.C.Das Commerce College, to deliver the welcome address.
Namaskar. Esteemed Professor Ajitaba Rai Chaudhuri, former professor from Jadavpur University and Professor Emeritus at Abbas University, Adarniya Dr. Vijay Kumar Gupta Sir, Honorable MLA from Central Govt, esteemed Sri K.C.Das Sir, CGM Nabard, respected Rajesh Madan Sir from NSIC, our very own beloved Professor K.C.Das Sir, Dignitaries in front of me, including Professor Nisar Ahmed Barua sir, Ruben Chaudhary sir, Dr. Ashok Laskar from UNESCO, dear colleagues, and above all, dear students. So this is a moment for which we all have been longing for since pretty long. So at the very outset, on behalf of K.C.Das Commerce College, I welcome all of you to this event of ours for which we have been longing for, as I say. Yes, Viksit Bharat. This has been a buzzword. Okay. Uh, this has been a mission under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, by which we want to achieve the developed status by 2047. Well, have we been able to maintain the trajectory of our development as the pages of history say so? Today, we would have been the most developed nation, undoubtedly. The pages of history which I am referring to happens to be from the pre-British era, when thousands of scholars from across the world desired and actually came to study in Nalanda Mahavihara. There was a time when our scholars were scripting the codes of formulas that we find in Vaimanic Shastra, or even in achievements in the field of mathematics or medicine. There was a time which I came across that in the 1700s, the GDP of Bharat it accounted for 20 to 25%. But then what happened later on? Well, everyone knows the Britishers ensured that we fall like a pack of nine pins. And by the time we became independent, we were facing poverty, illiteracy, and whatnot. And it was with the efforts of our great leaders that for survival and sustenance, a lot of plans were executed. And now it's time to change the gear and actually achieve the status which Bharat rightfully deserves. In today's scenario, we need to work out a lot. We have a huge problem because right now, if you check the Worldometer website, then we are counting more than 8.29 billion. And India, Bharat as a whole, we are 1.475 plus billion. So this huge population we have to cater to achieve the developed status. And development, by the way, does not only mean per capita income or GDP. It has lot many other factors like the quality of living, standard of living, health, education, and all. So government is taking many measures, and HEIs like us, higher education institutions like us, we have a lot of things to do. We can contribute a lot, and when we have the youth with us. So that's why such events are very, very important for us. When we have scholars with us who come and who share their inputs, and these inputs will surely help us, we learners, to learn many things and contribute towards the development of the country so that our nation attains the highest position. I am deeply privileged, deeply honored to share this dais with dignitaries like what we have in the dais. And I'm very sure that today and tomorrow we'll be having a great learning experience. And I request my student friends particularly, 2047 is yours, not mine, speaking from here. So try to learn whatever things the experts say and try to execute this. So may this coming 2 days be a great learning achievement for all of us. Thank you everyone for being here with us. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your gracious and inspiring address. I now invite Sri Lokendra Sir, CGM Nabar, kindly to address the gathering.
Namaskar. নমস্কাৰ আমাৰ মঞ্চত উপস্থিত মাননীয় এমএলএ মহোদয় প্ৰফেসৰ ৰাজেশী স্যার প্ৰফেসৰ দাস প্ৰফেসৰ বৰুৱা শ্ৰীযুত মদন NSIC NSIC আৰু মোৰ সন্মুখত উপস্থিত সকলো ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰী আৰু আমাৰ যিখিনি শিক্ষক শিক্ষয়িত্ৰী আছে এই ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনৰ আৰু বাকী যিখিনি বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ অনুষ্ঠানৰ পৰা অহা আন বাকীসকল আছে সকলোকে মই পুনৰাই নমস্কাৰ জনাইছোঁ I started with Assamese because having worked for quite a few years, longer duration in other states, after coming to Assam in 24, it has become a habit of me to begin with Assamese because most of the time we will not be speaking in Assamese, whether in office or when we are outside. First of all, let me begin by congratulating the K.C.Das Commerce College, K.C.Das Commerce College. K.C.Das নামটোৰ কাৰণে মই খুচৰিব লগা হৈছে সত্যি বহুতো বিচাৰি নাপাওঁ গতিকে ক'ৰবাত নহয় ক'ৰবাত সেইটো থাকিলে ভাল লাগিব নহয় K.C.Das বাণিজ্য মহাবিদ্যালয় শুনি পেলাই মোৰ বেছি ভাল লগা এই let me begin with not only congratulating, also wishing all the best to the college, this institution, as also the students. Last financial year, we being from financial institutions, for us, year begins from 1st April. So last financial year only, Principal Sahab had contacted us for some kind of involvement in this particular initiative of theirs. So somehow there were some transitionary issues because some changes were there in our organization, and then finally I could somehow manage to offer some support. So I hope this seminar will take us to a stage of coming up with some documents where we will be having action points for maybe policy pointers, action points maybe for the institution itself, students as such, but most importantly, those of I'm calling it us, maybe they will be here. So those of us who will be here, participants who will be full-time here, or students specially, should be able to draw upon the discussions to finalize a certain action points for the individual. We are saying 2047 is our Honorable Prime Minister had expressed his wish that 2047 we should reach a stage where we will be counted among the developed countries. But to reach that is our objective. Now, what is it that we have to do? We in the very bigger size country as a whole, we as institutions like ours and others, and even academic institutions, we as a group of people, we as the students, we as maybe at many a times some other small aggregations, and what as I. Until and unless the beginning is initiated by the individual, it's very unlikely to have it in group level. And for students, our learned professors and scientists and all the dignitaries are here. Everyone has done quite something or quite a bit, so they are in these positions. But basically, all these kind of seminars, beyond simple academic discussions, are also a way of inculcating in students the fundamentals of decision making for them to decide upon, to finalize their life's journey. All this information that you get in all the discussions that you hear should actually contribute towards yours deciding upon your life journey. If that happens, all seminars will have already achieved some impact which is going to be seen in the future. So I request the students to please pick up from different discussions and deliberations. What is it that you can utilize for your future? How is it that you can contribute? First, you have to do for yourself. That is a must. Then only you can contribute. Without doing for yourself, you will not be able to contribute. Any businessman, any person who is in some service, anyone who is tilling the land, everyone definitely first is doing for that individual. Then only he is doing for others. Because খালি পেটে দেশ সেৱা নহয় এইবিলাক মিছা কথা প্ৰথমতে আমি কিবা এটা কৰিব লাগিব আৰু কৰিব লগাৰ কাৰণে সকলোতকৈ ডাঙৰ কথা হ'ল বাণিজ্য বসতি লক্ষ্মী আমাৰ বাকীখিনি পিছত আহে নহয় জানো আৰু আমি বোৰতো একেবাৰে শেষত কৰোঁ আচলতে চাকৰি কৰা মানুহ বাকী কোনো কামৰ কাৰণে ফিট নহয় কাৰণে চাকৰি কৰে আমাৰ বাণিজ্য বসতি লক্ষ্মী তলতে কৃষি তাৰপিছত বোলে আহে সেৱা গতিকে as they say in Assamese, the primary thing is the business or doing on your own entrepreneurship. So for those who are coming out this knowledge of commerce, this knowledge of business should actually initiate with entrepreneurship. You becoming an entrepreneur, you are employing many people, you are facilitating growth in a very different way. If you think, I mean, it's good that I'll also end up saying that also you should also try for, because we don't have people from Assam that much in Nabard. So definitely I'll also say that people from the students community should try to come to Nabard, maybe RBI and other institutions. That is fine, yes. Everyone cannot do everything, yes, but larger chunk has to try and do something in the business, entrepreneurship. If you go for, I mean, of course, pronunciation will be difficult. Mostly nowadays people pronounce it the US way of entrepreneurship, and of course I put it in entrepreneurship. I mean, I pronounce it that way. Now, how do we do that? Like they say, what will be the four best financial statements? Financial statements, if we say, people start normally with BS and PL account. Some people sometimes say cash flow, but no one considers trial balance. So if we consider the knowledge of financial statements analysis that you get in commerce, studying commerce, if you do not do it periodically, trial balance is for periodic analysis. If you don't do it periodically about our life also, self-learning also, where do we stand, where I was supposed to go. If that is not there, moving ahead is not good. That is why you may, I mean, those of us who are in jobs and other services, we find nowadays that the government is trying to find out where we are at many points of time periodically. Why? That only gives you the trigger for finding out what we have not done, what we should have done, or where we have missed out, why we have missed out. If we do the analysis periodically, then it is easy for us to take up long-term views. So the seminars also like that. If after the post seminar, how many times have we discussed about what is it that we originally aspired for and what we have achieved? Why is it that some discussion points have not come? Why is it that we have expected that such lectures will deliver such kind of information, such kind of analysis? Somewhere there is a gap. I mean, I'm just giving an example. Everything can be looked at periodically in that way so that we get pointers towards where do we move and are we moving in the right direction. And then this principle is applicable everywhere. When you are sick, even then you have to think of it. When you are a student, you have to think of it. When suppose a person like us, when we join some job, we have to think of are we doing it the best possible way. I find that this is one principle which will carry us through. So many things will be discussed. 2047 Viksit Bharat. I was there, TIFEC was given the responsibility of coming up with for Northeast with 2047 vision. What will be the contribution? The government of India has given them. I was there in IIT for some that purpose. I attended in 2-3 days. The discussions, I was heading Tripura office, so I came from there for agriculture purposes. So we saw in discussions there also. Many of the things we are doing. finally, there also so many dignitaries were also there. Finally, we arrived at that. What is happening for us is that we are not actually repeatedly analyzing where we have reached. While coming today, I got held up in near that Bendola survey, wilderness area, because of water logging. Before that, I saw that nalas were clean, but the whatever came out of that was just placed on the road, and it will definitely be again going back to the drain and clog the drain. Very simple thing. This may not have been analyzed by the people engaged for last 3, 4 seasons. What has happened? So likewise, we keep on doing this if we don't learn from there. So likewise for our students also, I know many of the things will be repetitive for you, but please try to pick up with a lot of confidence and a lot of satisfaction. And as I said already, I have to end up with this that let us, especially the students, let us fix what I want to do for our, how they will contribute to the country. If we start thinking on that, like we many issues coming. All startups are coming up because of problem statements. Seminars, discussion, deliberations here today, tomorrow, and hereafter would help in this institution becoming one of the examples of creating entrepreneurs, not commerce graduates. I think that is going to not only contribute towards 2047, which is a contribution by this institution, it will also do good for the state, for the country as such, and maybe and also for the humanity. With this, I again thank K.C.Das Commerce College for getting us involved in this. And once the deliberations are printed and we get this, definitely will at least number it will be great learning as to what all things we may add up, and especially in relation to Assam and also taking 2047, no one knows everything. So for us, it will be great learning. Of course, our people will not be able to be there regularly, but I hope we'll be getting those write-ups and all that, so that it will be of help. I took some time, but thank you, K.C.Das Commerce College principals and everyone here, and all the senior persons who are sitting in front of us, here also sitting here, and also giving you this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Youth Entrepreneurship and Development Finance. May I now invite Honorable Emeritus Vijay Kumar Gupta to address the gathering.
Very good morning to everyone. Today is the national seminar on the sustainable and inclusive developments. So my best wishes for this national seminar. On the dais, respected dignitaries Sri Rajesh Madan, GM, NSIC Guwahati, Professor Amlandeep Das, President, Governing KCC, keynote speaker of today, Professor Ajit Rai Chaudhary, Principal of K.C. Verma, Sri Loken Das, GM, Nawad Guwahati, and dear friends, dear students. विकसित भारत 2047। आज मुझे अत्यंत गर्व और प्रसन्नता भी हो रही है कि विकसित भारत 2047 के बारे में कुछ कहने का आपके बीच मौका मिला। 2047 विकसित भारत यह है सस्टेनेबल एंड इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट की दिशा में उन्नति और हमारा योगदान जैसे महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पे आज सेमिनार होने जा रहा है। मेरी शुभकामना है, इसकी सफलता की कामना करता हूँ और K.C.Das कॉमर्स कॉलेज के प्रिंसिपल, उनके ऑनरेबल टीचर्स, स्टाफ एंड स्टूडेंट सभी को आज की इस पार्टिसिपेशन में भाग लेने के लिए मैं धन्यवाद भी ज्ञापित करता हूँ और आप सभी लोगों को इस हॉल में उपस्थित मैं आपका वंदन, अभिनंदन, अभिवादन और नमस्कार करता हूँ। जब भारत महान देश जब 100 वर्ष पूर्ण करेगा तो हमारा लक्ष्य केवल विकसित अर्थव्यवस्था बनना ही नहीं होगा, बल्कि एक ऐसा राष्ट्र बनाना होगा जो राष्ट्र आत्मनिर्भर हो, समावेशी हो, इनोवेटिव हो, पर्यावरण के प्रति जिम्मेदार हो। विकसित भारत का सपना केवल आर्थिक विकास तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि सामाजिक परिवर्तन, समान अवसर, मानव गरिमा, सतत विकास का राष्ट्रीय संकल्प है। सोशल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी, ह्यूमन डिग्निटी एंड सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट। आज भारत विश्व की सबसे तेजी से बढ़ती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था है। वर्तमान में भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था लगभग अप्रॉक्स $4 ट्रिलियन है, लेकिन हमारा लक्ष्य 2047 के लिए है $30 ट्रिलियन। विकसित भारत की नींव अगर हम कहें तो देयर आर 4 पिलर फॉर द डेवलप्ड इंडिया। जिस हाल में युवा बैठे हैं, युवाओं का सशक्तिकरण, महिला नेतृत्व आधारित विकास, जो विकास हो उसके फाउंडेशन में, उसके नींव में महिलाओं की भागीदारी सुनिश्चित की जा सके। तीसरा है किसानों का कल्याण, वेलफेयर ऑफ द एग्रीकल्चर एंड कृषक। चौथा है गरीबों का उत्थान। मित्रों, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व में भारत सरकार ने अनेक परिवर्तनकारी योजनाएं शुरू की, जो इसमें केंद्र सरकार का भी योगदान है, असम सरकार का भी योगदान है। उसके बारे में भी कुछ आपको बताना चाहूंगा। केंद्र सरकार के योगदान के बारे में कहूं तो पहला, डिजिटल इंडिया और समावेशी शासन, डिजिटल इंडिया इंक्लूसिव गवर्नेंस। दूसरा, हमने देखा है कि जनधन योजना, प्राइम मिनिस्टर जनधन योजना के माध्यम से 50 करोड़ बैंक अकाउंट खुले। यूपीआई ने डिजिटल भुगतान से सरल और पारदर्शी, सिंपल एंड ट्रांसपेरेंट सिस्टम हमने डेवलप किया। डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर, डीबीटी के माध्यम से सरकारी सहायता को लाभार्थियों तक पहुंचाने में भी हमारी सरकार ने काम। इससे हुआ क्या कि भ्रष्टाचार में कमी आई, गरीब, ग्रामीण और महिलाओं को हम आर्थिक रूप से सशक्त बनाने में कामयाब। दूसरी बात, आधारभूत संरचना और कनेक्टिविटी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट एंड कनेक्टिविटी। आज भारत सरकार के द्वारा भारतमाला योजना, सागरमाला योजना, पीएम गति शक्ति, स्मार्ट सिटी मिशन, डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर जैसी योजनाओं के माध्यम से देश के अंदर में सड़कों का विकास हुआ, रेलवे का विकास हुआ, हवाई अड्डों का विकास हुआ, वाटर ग्रिड्स का विकास हुआ और लॉजिस्टिक नेटवर्क का एक बहुत बड़ा हमारे पास में दृश्य देखने को मिला है। आज इस सबसे आर्थिक गतिविधियां भी बढ़ी हैं। भारत आज नवीनीकरण ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में विश्व में अग्रणी देश बनने जा रहा है। देश के अंदर में हम देख रहे हैं, सोलर एनर्जी, सौर ऊर्जा की बात अगर हम करें, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन की बात करें, इलेक्ट्रिकल वाहन की बात करें, बायोफ्यूल, जैविक ईंधन की बात करें, तो हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। पूरे विश्व के अंदर में भारत आगे बढ़ रहा है। जलवायु अनुकूलन की भी बात अगर हम करें तो भारत ने 2070 तक का लक्ष्य रखा है नेट जीरो एमिशन बाय 2070। नेट जीरो एमिशन बाय 2070। आज हम समावेशी कल्याण योजनाओं की बात करें, इंक्लूसिव वेलफेयर स्कीम्स की बात करें, तो भारत सरकार की स्कीम के बारे में कहना चाहूंगा कि आयुष्मान भारत, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना, जल जीवन मिशन, स्वच्छ भारत मिशन, पीएम विश्वकर्मा योजना, स्किल इंडिया। आज हम देख रहे हैं युवाओं के लिए स्टार्टअप इंडिया ने भी करोड़ों लोगों का जीवन बेहतर बनाया है। आयुष्मान भारत गरीबी योजना से भी स्वास्थ्य के अंदर में सुधार हुआ है। जल जीवन मिशन ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में स्वच्छ पीने का पानी भी उपलब्ध कराया है। महिलाओं और युवाओं के सशक्तिकरण की बात करें, एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ द यूथ एंड, तो भारत सरकार ने बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, मुद्रा योजना, स्टैंड अप इंडिया, प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना, स्किल डेवलपमेंट जैसी योजनाओं भी युवाओं और महिलाओं को आत्मनिर्भर बनाएगी। केंद्र सरकार के साथ साथ असम सरकार भी विकसित 2047 के लक्ष्य के साथ उल्लेखनीय कार्य कर रही है। मैं एक दो कार्यों का विवरण दूंगा। असम सरकार का योगदान माननीय मुख्यमंत्री हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा के वरिष्ठ नेतृत्व के हो रहा है और उन्होंने स्कीम आपने सुना होगा जो कि प्रभावशाली महिला केंद्रित एक स्कीम है। आज इसी योजना से हम देख रहे हैं कि कमजोर महिलाओं को, आर्थिक रूप से जो कमजोर महिलाओं को आइडेंटिफाई करना, वित्तीय सहायता देना, जिससे परिवारों को भी आर्थिक सुरक्षा मिलती है। दूसरी बात, असम सरकार की कहूं तो आधारभूत संरचना, दैट इज द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट। असम सरकार ने सड़क संपर्क को बढ़ाया, मेडिकल कॉलेज हम देख रहे हैं खुल रहे हैं, शैक्षणिक संस्थान, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन देख रहे हैं डेली, नए नए जगह नए नए खुल रहे हैं, ग्रामीण विद्युतीकरण, रूरल इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन, डिजिटल गवर्नेंस, कुल हम आज देख रहे हैं ब्रिजेस, हाईवेज का निर्माण हो रहा है। इससे हमारी जो है प्रगति में एक आयाम जुड़ा है। आज उसी संदर्भ में उल्लेख करना चाहूंगा धुबड़ी और फुलबाड़ी पुल की बात, गुवाहाटी रिंग रोड की बात, औद्योगिक निवेश की, इंडस्ट्रियल जो है इन्वेस्टमेंट की कई ढेर सारी परियोजनाएं राज्य की आर्थिक प्रगति को भी मजबूत करें। असम सरकार ने नए मेडिकल कॉलेज अस्पतालों की स्थापना की है और स्वास्थ्य सेवाओं को भी मजबूती प्रदान की। डिजिटल गवर्नेंस की बात करें तो मिशन वसुंधरा, जो लैंड रिफॉर्म्स में मिशन वसुंधरा के जरिए हमने गवर्नेंस हमने ट्रांसपेरेंसी, प्रशासन के ट्रांसपेरेंसी को भी बढ़ाने में हमने मजबूती प्रदान की। अगर हम ग्रीन एनर्जी की बात करें तो असम सरकार भी पर्यटन संरक्षण के लिए इको टूरिज्म, बायोडायवर्सिटी की बात हम करें, काजीरंगा राष्ट्रीय उद्यान के बारे में सोचे, असम के चाय बागान के बारे में हम सोचे तो हमारा पर्यावरणीय संतुलन और ग्रीन डेवलपमेंट, हरित विकास के क्षेत्र में भी हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। इसके डेवलपमेंट, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन, स्टार्टअप, औद्योगिक नीतियां, कौशल विकास, स्किल डेवलपमेंट जैसे ढेर सारे। तो देवियों और सज्जनों, भाइयों और बहनों, मित्रों, सतत और समावेशी सस्टेनेबल एंड इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट का ये नहीं है कि ऐसा विकास जो समाज के प्रत्येक वर्ग को मिले, ये सिर्फ एक वर्ग को नहीं, समाज के जितने भी वर्ग हैं प्रत्येक वर्ग को समान अवसर मिले, दैट इज इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी टू एवरीवन। तो इसका भी, इस विकास का भी केवल जीडीपी के माध्यम से हम नहीं आंक सकते हैं। जीडीपी के माध्यम से ही हम इसको हम नहीं आंक सकते हैं, न माप सकते हैं, न मेजर कर सकते हैं। इसके लिए हमें पुनः मैं दो तीन बातें आपको कहना चाहूंगा कि पहली बात गुणवत्ता शिक्षा, जिसको कहते हैं क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, एफोर्डेबल हेल्थ एंड पर्यावरण संरक्षण, एनवायरमेंट बैलेंस, एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी, रोजगार, सोशल हार्मोनी, ह्यूमन डिग्निटी, मानव जीवन से ही नापा जा सकता है। तो विकसित भारत का सपना केवल भारत का नहीं, यह प्रत्येक नागरिक की जिम्मेदारी है। प्रत्येक नागरिक को भी इसके अंदर में पार्टिसिपेट करना। ये कुछ वर्गों का नहीं है, सिर्फ कॉलेज का, स्टूडेंट्स का सेमिनार के माध्यम से नहीं, भारत के प्रत्येक नागरिक की जिम्मेदारी है, उसका दायित्व है, सबको हम इसके अंदर में पार्टिसिपेशन के लिए आह्वान भी करना चाहिए। और हमें इसके लिए स्वच्छता अपनानी होगी। हमारा परिवेश परिष्कार और परिच्छन्न हो, पर्यावरण की रक्षा करनी होगी, स्थानीय उत्पादों को बढ़ावा देना होगा। अभी तो वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट की भी करना है। डिजिटल लिटरेसी को बढ़ाना होगा, डिजिटल इंडिया, डिजिटल लर्निंग को भी हमें बढ़ावा देना होगा। विशेषकर महिलाओं को सशक्त बनाना होगा और राष्ट्रीय एकता, नेशनल यूनिटी को भी मजबूत करना होगा। और भारत की सबसे बड़ी शक्ति अगर कुछ कोई है तो युवा शक्ति, युवा जो हमारे सामने बैठी है। और देश की 65% से अधिक जनसंख्या 35 साल से कम, 65% पॉपुलेशन ऑफ यूथ बिलो 35 इयर्स। तो युवाओं को सही शिक्षा, बेटर एजुकेशन, राइट एजुकेशन, उनके स्किल का डेवलपमेंट के लिए अवसर मिले तो भारत भी विश्व की आर्थिक और नवाचार शक्ति, इनोवेशन पावर बन सकती है। अंत में मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि विकसित भारत केवल लक्ष्य नहीं है, दिस इज नॉट ओनली टारगेट, दिस इज अवर डिटरमिनेशन, नेशनल डिटरमिनेशन। यह राष्ट्रीय संकल्प है। यह एक ऐसा भारत होगा जो आर्थिक रूप से मजबूत होगा, सामाजिक रूप से समावेशी होगा, सोशल इंक्लूसिवनेस, पर्यावरण के प्रति जिम्मेदार होगा और विश्व में सम्मानित होगा। तो आइए हम सभी मिलकर के, जो जहां है, जिस रूप में है, जिस स्थिति परिस्थिति में हो, सभी मिलकर के 2047 विकसित, आत्मनिर्भर और समृद्ध भारत के निर्माण का प्रदान करते हुए आगे की कामना करता हूँ और आप सभी के जीवन में वाणी को ही विराम देता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir, for your full address on Viksit Bharat. May I now invite Sri Rajas Madan, GM NSRC, to address the audience.
Honorable MLA sir, Shri Vijay Kumar Gupta ji, respected professor sir, respected professor sir, Aditya Ray Chaudhary ji, respected K.C.Das, President Governing Body, respected Dr. Rishikesh Barua ji, Principal K.C. Commerce College, respected Shri Loken Das ji, CGM NABARD, National Bank for Agricultural Development. Scholars, faculty members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm and good morning to all of you. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure for me to be present at this national seminar on Viksit Bharat at 2047 Sustainable and Inclusive Development, organized by K.C.Das Commerce College in collaboration with the National Small Industries Corporation. At the outset, I sincerely congratulate the principal, faculty members, organizing committee, and the students for creating such an excellent platform where academia, policymakers, politicians, financial institutions, and industries are coming together for this meaningful development discussions. And honestly speaking, whenever a senior officer comes at such colleges, students usually think like this: first, attendance मिलेगी क्या? आज फिर बोर होना पड़ेगा, स्पीच कितनी लंबी होगी, यही सब चलता है. But I tell you frankly, I assure you that you are the lucky ones, to whom we are able to share our experiences. And these experiences you may not like today, but these experiences add tremendous value, which you will realize later. Whatever we have gained over a period of such time that we have been working, and these all senior people sitting here, they're just sharing your experiences in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, for which you will take number of years to achieve that, to learn that. So this is the shortcut. So you will realize one day that this seminar was good, and thanks to K.C.Das Commerce College. We are discussing a vision of India where growth is sustainable, just like the Honorable MLS has also said. Opportunities are inclusive, development reaches the last person, and every citizen gets a chance to participate in the nation building. A truly developed India will not be measured only by the GDP numbers, but by the dignity, empowerment, innovation, and equal opportunity, and therefore the role of MSMEs are extremely important. MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. MSMEs are chota packet with a bada dhamaka. The backbone of the any country are MSMEs only. I don't know many of you know or not. I am from National Small Industries Corporation that works for the promotion, support, and development for micro, small, and medium enterprises across the country. Today, MSMEs contribute nearly 30% to India's GDP, around 44% of the exports, and provide employment to more than 11 crore people. The data has been taken by Google, of course. थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे हो भी सकता है. Friends, small businesses create big transformations, and India's next unicorn may not come from Bangalore or Gurgaon. It may emerge from Guwahati, Shillong, Silachar, Itanagar, or from young entrepreneurs sitting in a small town with a laptop, Wi-Fi, and a dream. The dream is very important. That is what is creating, big people nowadays. Earlier, business required huge offices, massive investments, complicated systems. Today, only one innovative idea, one mobile phone, and a confidence can start successful enterprise. In India, today's India, even chai has become a startup model. You see the number of chai points. Then, if you go to the airport, Tapri chai. These are all startups, and they are doing very good. It is actually, entrepreneurship today is not merely earning profits. It is about creating employments, solving problems, empowering society, and contributing to the nation building. Dear students, you belong to this generation, not to my generation. You belong to the generation of Startup India, Digital India, Make in India, Stand Up India, and Viksit Bharat. These are all not just slogans. These actually, wordings hit your mind and help you, encourage you to do whatever you want. हमारे टाइम पे क्या होता था, CA बन जाओ, इंजीनियर बन जाओ या डॉक्टर बन जाओ. But now you have lots and lots and lots of opportunities, and which will make, I think, in 24/7. Your generation does not wait for opportunities. You create opportunities. Earlier, parents used to ask, "Beta, government job mili?" Today they ask, "Package कितना है? Startup चालू हुआ या नहीं हुआ? कैसा चल रहा है startup?" India has got. At NSIC, we are trying to strengthen this entrepreneurial ecosystem through skill development, incubation support, raw material assistance, marketing support, government procurement felicitation, technology support, and support for SC/STs and women entrepreneurs. That's actually one-stop shop. NSIC, if you come, that's a one-stop shop. You come to us, and we assure that you become an entrepreneur and you become a person you can give employment to others. And no discussion on Viksit Bharat can never be completed without discussing teachers, जो गुरुजी होते हैं, and the women, the 50% of our population. With Guru, I remember a story. बाबा कबीर जी थे, तो उन्होंने इनका एक दोहा है कि भगवान दोनों सामने खड़े हों तो किसके पाँव हमें पड़ने चाहिए? तो उन्होंने बोला कि गुरु के पाँव पड़ने चाहिए. अगर भगवान नाराज हो गए तो गुरु shows the way. अगर गुरु नाराज हो गया तो who shows the way? You're on your own. So respect your teachers. These are the people who are building a nation and who will help you to make Viksit Bharat 2047. But ultimately, you have to do your current, you have to do your things. And the nation cannot move forward without the women participation with half of its population. Today, women are not only participating in development, today they are leading development from self-help groups in villages to startup founders in cities, from classrooms to corporate boardrooms. Women are redefining leadership and success, empowering women responsibility. It's an economic necessity. So, because when women becomes financially empowered, family becomes stronger, education improves, healthcare improves, and society progresses. At NSIC, we encourage women entrepreneurs through training, incubation, enterprise support, and honestly speaking, many boys today are still planning something big, बहुत बड़ा धमाका, and many girls have already prepared the business plan, completed the presentation, launched the Instagram page, and calculated profits also. Dear students, कुछ ताली या कुछ हंसा कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा, मुझे लगता है everybody still in a sleepy mode. मैं इतना बुरा बोल रहा हूँ क्या? I don't think मैंने काफी मेहनत की थी बोलने के लिए. कुछ तो मतलब एटलीस्ट पता आदमी आया बोल के चला गया थैंक यू, उसके बाद फटाफट बाहर निकले एंड मूव अराउंड. बट आई जस्ट जैसे मैंने पहले बोला था, these experience will help you a lot, will definitely help you a lot. True empowerment is not about slogans, it is about opportunities, respect, education, safety, and equal participation. A developed India by 2047 will not only have smart cities, it must have empowered daughters, because when women rises, family rises. I told you that. Now, coming to this part of the country, the Northeast holds immense potential for India's growth story. The region has talent, creativity, cultural richness, natural resources, and extraordinary entrepreneurial spirit. The Northeast is not India's remote area anymore. It's the India's growth frontier. You know how much money government of India is actually putting in Northeast. PM sir, a lot of politicians, Home Minister sir, the honorable MLA sir, they're working very hard. Actually, जो Northeast पहले माना जाता था कि शायद पिछड़ा हुआ, it is very Guwahati especially, fastest developing city in the country at present, and Assam fastest developing state in the country now. Thank you. जाग रहे हो. Thank you. Thank you. So NSIC actually, therefore has signed an MOU with K.C.Das Commerce College to actually, because such collaborations bridge the gap between classroom learning and the practical internship. Now, what I would suggest is, you might be having holidays now, so you come to NSIC और एक महीना 2 महीने का वहां पे आप ट्रेनिंग करिए, इंटर्नशिप करिए, एंड कॉस्ट यू नथिंग, बट यू गॉट प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस की ऑफिस में क्या होता है एक्चुअली. अभी क्लासरूम में बैठे ऐसे लगता है कि यार ऑफिस जाते हैं, पापा मम्मी पेरेंट्स लोग जाते हैं, खूब मस्ती करके शाम को आ जाते हैं और हमें आके डांटते हैं, ये पढ़ाई किया, वो पढ़ाई किया, ये क्या किया, वो क्या किया. बट जब आप ऑफिस में जाएंगे, यू विल वर्क हार्ड, you know that how much difficult it is there to work in our office, and how many things what we have to learn. We are also learning like you. Every day it's a learning stage. Do not underestimate yourself. The future belongs to not only to the toppers but to the problem solvers nowadays. Sometimes the student sitting quietly in the last bench becomes the founder sitting confidently in the front row of a board meeting. दिमाग चलना चाहिए, इनोवेशन चलना चाहिए. पढ़ाई जरूरी है, एक स्टेज तक पढ़ाई जरूरी है, बट उसके बाद आपको अपने दिल से अपना बचपन कभी नहीं खोना, अपने आइडियाज कभी मत खोना, और बोलने से मत कभी भी छूटना. Speak your heart out, speak your mind out. That will help you to grow, and once you grow, India grows. बस इतना याद रखना कि हम सब की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर एक आदमी भी पढ़ता है तो वो इंडिया की ग्रोथ में पार्टिसिपेट करता है. And in today's world, AI can write assignments, Chat GPT can even draft speeches just the way it has drafted for me. So, but creativity, ethics, compassion, leadership, and character, that you have to build. That will still come from the human beings. वो चैट जीपीटी और कोई नहीं देगा। एंड इंडिया जो है उसके मामले में इंडिया से अच्छा कोई कंट्री नहीं है अगर आपको कैरेक्टरिस्टिक बिल्ड करना है। यू नो इफ वी बिलीव इन आवर इंडिया, हमारी लेगेसी जो 5000 साल पुरानी चल रही है, what we are learning from our parents, our grandparents, you know, everybody, everything is coming back now. ये वही सब चीजें करनी है। तो do have a believe in India and make India strong, make India again develop। जो सोने की चिड़िया कही जाती थी उसको दोबारा सोने की चिड़िया बनाएंगे। You know, artificial intelligence is growing rapidly, but thankfully Indian mothers are still smarter than AI. You know, AI में predict weather, but जब आप एग्जाम दे के आते हैं तो आपकी मदर आपका चेहरा देख के बता देती है बेटा एग्जाम कैसा हुआ। उसके लिए कोई एआई की जरूरत नहीं है। तो respect your parents and Indian parents are always better than AI। उनको आपका अंदर बाहर सब पता होता है। Now friends, India today is moving from job seekers to job creators, from local products to global products, and from the demographic burden to a demographic dividend. The vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 will succeed only when development comes sustainable, inclusive, youth-driven, innovation, and social responsibility. As our Honorable Prime Minister says, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, and सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास। And today I would like to add one more line: सबका innovation। अपना दिमाग लगाओ, कुछ ना कुछ इनोवेट करो। बहुत सारे आइडियाज आते हैं लेकिन हम दब जाते हैं कि आगे कैसे होगा, क्या होगा, या भूल जाते हैं। उसको इनोवेट करो प्लीज, because innovation is the currency of the future. And before I conclude, I would like to leave students with a simple 3 thoughts. First, dream big. Small aim do not create great nations. Second, fear failure. There is no word as failure. Failure is only an experience. वही चीज दोबारा करोगे तो experience ही होगा ना। Failure कुछ नहीं होता। There is no word as failure. It's always experience. Failure terminology is wrong as far as I am concerned. You know, it's always experience which puts you forward. And third, stay connected to the society. Success comes meaningful only when it uplifts others. India 2047 will not be built in parliament or policy rooms. It will be built in colleges, startups, incubation centers, villages, classrooms, and auditoriums like this. And perhaps among the students sitting here today. मालूम नहीं कौन कब कितना बड़ा आदमी बन जाएगा। You know, you have to dream big, you have to think big. And perhaps today, among students sitting here today, future economists, entrepreneurs, civil servants, startup founders, policymakers, and nation builders. So my message to the young audience is simple: do not wait for the future, create it, create it. आप ही बनाने वाले हैं, वो कल क्यों बनाना है, आज ही बना दो ना। इंडिया में भी बहुत लोग हैं। अब वो 14 साल का लड़का अगर राजस्थान रॉयल्स की गेम से खेल रहा है तो इज 14 years only। कुछ तो उसने सोचा ही होगा, कुछ तो उसने अच्छा किया ही होगा। He did not wait कि 18 होगा या क्या होगा। He's put in his hard work. And finally, let me leave you with one thought. Do not ask whether India will be developed by 2047. Ask yourself, what will your contribution be in making India develop? I once again thank K.C.Das Commerce College for inviting me, and I convey my best wishes for the grand success of this seminar. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts on nation building with special focus on skill development, entrepreneurship, and MSMEs. May I now request Sri Amlandip sir, Honorable President of our college governing body, to address the audience.
A very good morning to all the esteemed dignitaries present on the dais as well as in the hall. and I feel privileged to welcome you all to this two-day seminar on Viksit Bharat 2047. And I also give my special welcome to Mr. Professor Dr. Ajitabar Rai Chaudhary, former professor and head of Jadavpur University. Local MLA Dr. Vijay recently won the elections. I welcome him again. Sri K.C.Das, Chief General Manager of NABARD. Mr. Rajesh Madan, General Manager NSIC. Our very dynamic principal, Dr. Rishikesh Barwa, who has a big role as far as this two-day seminar, national seminar is concerned. Our donor member, Ruben Ramesh Chaudhary, who plays a very pivotal role as far as the administration and running of this college is concerned, very actively involved. Then Professor Nisar Ahmed, who is also a member of the governing body and professor of economics in Bharat University. My old friend and colleague, retired from here, Runjun Fukan, Dr. Runjun Fukan, who's present here, and everyone present. I may have left out somebody, but we are all waiting for Mr. Ajita Roy Chaudhary to show us this dream. Because I'm a student of literature, I dream only music, poetry, art, etc. But I want our very esteemed, erudite scholar, Dr. Ajita Roy Chaudhary, to show me and everyone the dream that he sees and tries to also impress upon us, make us see that dream of Viksit Bharat 2047. So let us all start that, and thank you so very much for being here and making this two-day national seminar a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is indeed a matter of great honor and privilege for me to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker for today's inaugural session, Professor Ajitabar Rai Chaudhary, sir. Professor Rai Chaudhary is an eminent economist, academician, and internationally acclaimed scholar with decades of distinguished contributions to the field of economics, international trade, and development studies. A PhD from American University, he served as professor, head, and coordinator of the Center for Advanced Studies, Department of Economics, Jadavpur University. He also served as Dean of the Faculty of Arts at Jadavpur University and held the prestigious chair professorship instituted by the erstwhile Planning Commission of India. Professor Rai Chaudhary's academic journey has been enriched through his association with globally renowned institutions, including Yale University as a senior Fulbright scholar, Columbia University, and SOAS University of London. He has undertaken several important research projects sponsored by distinguished national and international organizations such as the World Bank, UNDP, ADP, UNESCO, ICSSR, the Finance Commission, and the Planning Commission of India. An accomplished author and editor, Professor Rai Chaudhary has contributed extensively through numerous research papers and acclaimed books on international trade, development, and globalization. Today, we are immensely fortunate to have him among us to deliver the keynote address on the topic multidimensionality of sustainable and inclusive development, some thoughts. May I now request Professor Ajitabar Rai Chaudhary, sir, to kindly address the August gathering. Yes.
Sir, many congratulations, sir. नहीं, नहीं,
I thank K.C.Das Commerce College for inviting me here. Govt is a city where I have come many times. In fact, I really love the city somewhere or other, and I love coming back to the city. And I also very privileged that so many students are there, and hope they will have learned something from what I want to say. But let me warn one thing. I am not. You have heard a lot about what you can do in your life, right? Dream, innovate. I'm not going to say anything on that. I am a economist and a teacher. I teach. I really help students form their ideas, brush up their things, and then obviously I hope they will succeed in their life. You have heard a lot about Viksit Bharat, what you can do, how you can contribute. Now, what I will do, I'm good in economics and not really good in other things. That's my advantage. And disadvantage maybe for others who are not so much inclined to economics. But I will try to be somewhat intuitive in my speech so that everybody can get on board and can follow. Now, what I intend to do really is this. All of us, in fact, the theme of the seminar is sustainable and inclusive development. Now, in general, when you hear the term sustainable, one thing comes to our mind, that's environmental sustainability. That how the art, the world, the art really can be saved from carbon emissions, warming up, and all these problems. But apart from that, economists are grappling with another kind of sustainability. As that sustainability is, countries face what we call indebtedness, that they run through a lot of debt in their total budget. What is debt? Most of you know that individually, if our family runs short of money, then what we earn, we borrow. And when you add up the borrowing over time, it becomes a debt. And that debt is inherited by the younger generation. So we make the debt as older generation. You as younger generation will bear the debt with no choice. We do it, you suffer. Unfortunately so. So if there is a huge debt, right, even in a family, for some reasons or other, if there is a huge debt, sometimes or later, when you grow old, you take the responsibility of the family to face all this debt. That's true for the country too. The difference is, if there is an individual debt, you have to bother about it. But if there is debt for a country, apparently there is no end to it. They can continue with that year after year. And there comes the question of sustainability. So can one country go on spending more than what they produce? Can they do it indefinitely? Can they sustain it? If they cannot sustain it, then I can do it today. Huge amount of spending, little amount of earning, everybody looks happy, but in the long run, it's a burden for us. And as I repeat, the burden will be faced by the younger generation. And that's not a very good thing. I don't want to be, to be a pessimist, that all of you sitting here, you think that, oh God, what will happen? So many burdens, so debt, what way we will go? We will go nowhere. But there are issues which I will just take up. And one other thing is the inclusive growth. Inclusive growth, all of you have heard Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas. Certainly. We can make our country a $30 trillion economy. Fine. It looks like there is a small cake now, $4 trillion. That will become a very big cake like this in 2047. But how much do we eat of that cake? Each individual gets a share of that cake, or each family gets a share of that cake. Do they get equal? When the cake is expanding, some gets more, some gets less. Those who get more, fortunate. Those who get less, we call them pichhle varg. Some or other, they are the backward in terms of income, in terms of education, in terms of whatever we call them. How to somewhat grapple with this inclusive growth scenario. Now, let me first go to this, this mathematical symbols. Those who are in economics may be interested, and those who are not, doesn't matter. The main thing is, it's almost like a balance sheet. Commerce students, all of you know, there is a debit, there is a credit side. So basically, when we have, it's a last but the third line from the beginning. That's important. The left-hand side is what actually you are earning today. So that R is what you are earning, right? Taxes, non-tax, that's what the government earns. And plus whatever they can borrow. That's the liability side. But that's the earning side basically. Now what do you pay? You pay the existing debt, part of it you have to pay interest and other things. Then after paying everything, you're earning and you're paying, what is left in the balance? And maybe if you have a negative balance yesterday, you will have a negative balance tomorrow also. Then you have borrowed today, you will borrow tomorrow, and that's how the day goes. And it can become unmanageable at some point of time. And I will just go to that point. If it becomes unmanageable, then it becomes an unsustainable debt. The world has seen that. Argentina, all of us know why? Because of Lionel Messi. But Argentina faced one of the worst debt problems in the world. Their currency fell. A pair of shoes might have cost something like close to $500 because the whole thing really got really bad. South America has this kind of a problem. They're good at football, not good at maintaining balance. Now, I skipped this slide. Basically, what happens is this. So, what do we do? What do the country do to make it sustainable so that they can sustain themselves in the future? Is it always true that a country, after some time, they should not borrow? They should not borrow and spend. It's always like balancing your budget individually, as a family, as a household. We always try to balance our budget. Whatever we earn, whatever we spend, we want to keep the debit and credit side somewhat balanced. We go on borrowing day by day. It gets really a burden for an individual family. There is no such thing for a country. The country doesn't face this individual constant. They can go on borrowing. The only thing is that the purpose should be, at some point of time, the debt burden should either shouldn't grow or should start falling. Now, there is a condition which is there, and I just want to mention this condition. The country grows, as I said, it's a cake, national cake, which is growing, and then they pay on their debt interest. The only condition which is there is that the growth, the amount by which the country is growing, that rate should be higher than the rate at which you are repaying your debt. If you do that, at some point of time, you are borrowing, you are paying interest, but you are growing as well. If the growth outstrips the interest rate, then you are paying your liabilities are growing, but your assets are growing too. At some point, the assets will become larger than your liabilities, or at least it will not grow. So that is the condition. Your growth should be high compared to what you pay in terms of interest. And as this calculation is unimportant, the message is this: that does not mean that the government has to balance their assets and liabilities all the time, unlike an individual family. We try to balance our asset and debit, credit and debit, so that we do not fall into a debt trap, a borrowing trap. The country can go on provided their growth is high compared to the repayment rate interest. They can sustain it even if every year they run a budget deficit. That's the beauty of the whole thing. Now, why should a country be needed to run a budget deficit? Think about Corona time. If the government hasn't come and stood by the side of Indian people, where would have they gone? So if the government has to balance its budget all the time, then in situations of crisis, who will by the side of the common people? How will they survive? So it's always required that government at times should have a budget where the expenditure is more than your earning. Your debit should be more than your credit. That's not bad. For individuals, we are scared of that. Country should not be. Otherwise, situations like Corona, COVID time, or situations which is happening now. As you know, you have heard what our Prime Minister has said, that we are going to face a crisis if this war continues. If the crisis comes, the government has to run a deficit. They have to spend more than what they earn. Why? They have to support basically the people who are lower income, middle income. That's a must. So just running a deficit is not bad, provided the growth rate is high. I'll show you a picture. Most of you must know two dimensions. On the vertical dimension, which we call the y-axis, we are having some percentages. 10%, 15%, 20%, etc., etc. And on the horizontal, we have years. And this is nominal growth rate. Growth rate, which is every year we are watching. The red line is the interest rate. And the blue line is the growth rate. We are on a safe side. The growth rate, the blue, outstrips the red. Not so for even some of the developed countries. Japan, struggling. USA, borderline. European Union, it's all borderline because the growth is low. But India, fastest growth. That's the silver line. So, given this situation, the government can run a deficit and sustain. The future generation can meet this debt because the earning will increase in future. That's guaranteed. So it's sustainable. The debt is sustainable. Similarly, it's about the foreign debt. You know, there are two types of debt. The debt which we have inside and the debt which comes from outside. And you have this figure, look at the right figure. The internal liability is 94%. Internally, we create debt, the government creates debt, 94% of that. 6% is external debt. Who does this external debt? Either the government can go for that or the companies have debt. It's international market. All of that is a burden on us. We have to repay that. Because internationally, if we don't repay, nobody will lend us in future. Again, here also, the same rule applies. The interest which we pay on the loan, right? And the growth rate, how does it figure? And again, very, I'll calculate the interest rate because there are two types of interest, government interest rate and private sector's interest rate, external. The blue line is the growth, and the red line is what we pay to the external government and private sector in terms of interest. Again, very good margin. So we need not unnecessarily bother. The government can run deficit, sustain it, help the poorer sections of the society, still it's a sustainability. So this is one dimension of sustainability. We should not always talk about environmental sustainability, we should talk about financial sustainability too, because all of you in future will be affected by this. Now let me go to environmental sustainability, and I will, just simply the last section inclusive. I will not talk much about that. We'll show you a picture and that. Now think about this. As you know, and this is talked about, that we need some kind of green energy, some kind of carbon reduction, and all of this. And I go straight, and these are SDG goals. You know what is SDG? That's Sustainable Development Goals. There are many such goals, and obviously one such goal is now this is which came out very recently. And this is a paper about India, South Africa, Brazil, and Indonesia. The first three, as you know, part of BRICS. India, South Africa, Brazil. The BRICS, all of you know, BRICS is a much talked about groupings now. And this is the need. We can tell so many times that yes, we need green energy. We must go for green energy. Now, this is a cost estimate which has been done by this source is mentioned here. Not easily available, not easily done. Look at India. The annual need in US dollar billion is 60 to 70 billion dollars if we want to go for full-fledged green investment required. How much is mobilized? 16 billion. What is the gap? 44 to 54 billion. So gap is almost like 63 to 77%. We have to meet this gap. Otherwise, just green investment is a matter of word, but it will take a long time to achieve this. Look at the other countries, South Africa, Brazil, and Indonesia. Their gap is high. No doubt, all of them have very high gap. India also has a very high gap. Now, here is the interesting thing. This paper has pointed out that when we talk about when we talk about this green investment, there is something called pecking order. Some of you might have heard in management, pecking order is a very important thing. There's an order at which you do invest. Now, this paper suggests this. There are three types of industries. Industries are cash constant. Doesn't have too much net worth, doesn't have too much surplus cash. They go for what is called dirty vintage. That means it's green investment, but old kind. Investment which was discovered maybe 15, 20 years back, and this is less costly, and we go for that. Very incremental, small effect. Intermediate and frontier, these are the ones which create kind of a upgradation and green investment which affects the system very quickly. Now, pecking order means most of the small and medium industries do not have, they are not cash rich in India. They will go for what? The dirty vintage. Some kind of green investment which are not modern, not current, but which have been discovered way back, and its effect is marginal. Now, the problem which has been found is what is called financial additionality and leverage ratio. I will again very quickly say about that. When you try to finance it, there are two options. Either you go for what is called a debt, or you can go for equity. Debt equity ratio, that's called the leverage ratio. And the leverage ratio, as you can see in India, the leverage is 6.58:1. It's one of the highest. Why? Because in order for the medium and small sector, which you have heard a lot, requires funding which has to be provided by the government largely. So it's debt, and that debt is high compared to, say, South Africa, whose debt is 2.4:1. So they do not require that much of debt from the government, but they can go for market. And this is called additionality, in the sense that this kind of leverage can only be provided by the government because market doesn't provide this kind of leverage. Now, I'm just skipping this slide. I don't know whether I can read it now. This is the Niti Aayog paper which came out very recently. And they have got this kind of a thing that what is the focus scheme, what should be done, and they have these schemes as you can read. Aditi, gift, spice, nice names. But they have some meanings attached to it, all regarding MSME. Because if you leave it to the market, they will go for vintage. Old type of green investment, incremental effect, very small effect, and it will take years for us to go for greenification. Instead of that, what the government is trying to do is to classify this, have schemes, so that they don't go for a vintage way of greenification. Now, these are that Surat famous for textile, Tirupu textile, Baki for paper. All these are clusters where this kind of investment is needed, green investment. Now, let me just go to this. You will see the quantum of investment needed for the government. What do the schemes say? That if you invest, the government will come and subsidize the interest and some of the cost. That's what is called leverage, and the leverage is additional. Come to the last section. These are the amounts required for textile, forging, foundry, paper, some of the high environmentally polluting industries. How much number of MSMEs you can see? The amount required by the government, the schemes which I mentioned, if you add them up, if you give 15% subsidy, 6,524. If you give 20% subsidy, this much. If you give 30% subsidy, 13,004. Altogether, you require 43,495 crores. For the small and medium scale sector to go for reinvestment. Now, this is the leverage. This is the kind of thing which the government has to bear in order for the MSME to go for green investment. I mentioned this because this paper is very interesting, one of the rare papers which the government has published, and which clearly shows how much is the responsibility of the government for the MSME sectors. Now, for lack of time, I will not go much about the inclusive growth, but just give you one or two facts. As you know, people talk about inclusive growth, and I'm quite sure all of you have heard the word inclusive growth. What do we mean by inclusive growth? It should benefit all sections of the society. It has a gender dimension, it has an income dimension, it has an educational dimension. Whoever is deprived in some way or other, whoever is backward in that sense, should be brought into the picture. But the problem which happens is this: all governments, for that matter, calculate what is called projected growth. When we are talking about Viksit Bharat 2047, there's a projection with the government calculates at what rate the country should grow so that we can achieve this 2047 goals. The problem with this, the growth is calculated, very well projected, forecast, etc. But is this inclusive? The point is, when the government departments calculate growth, the inclusive part is missing. If the growth part is there, very well calculated, but if you talk about the inclusive part, that's not clearly there. The reason? It's a lack of theory. They do it theoretically. The government departments, when they go for that, or the Niti Aayog, they fall back upon some of the theories of growth. In the theories of growth, unfortunately, inclusive growth is not part of the scheme. So what happens? For inclusive growth, the biggest thing which is needed is the government investment. And I will show you on what does this inclusivity depends. I tell you very quickly. It varies from, for example, India is a huge nation. So overall growth depends on so many states. The states have to grow, right? And then you aggregate and get an aggregate figure for India is growing. Different states have different growth rates. Why is it that some states grow faster than others? One, the behavioral pattern. You have some states where people are comparatively more patient, in the sense that they do not consume everything immediately they say. In some states, you will find that it's easy to postpone consumption and save more. It's inbuilt into the behavioral pattern of the people who live in that state. So when we say high income states, in those states people are more patient, they save, they are more concerned for inequality apparently, so that when you concern for inequality, perhaps you will try to save more so that the economy grows faster and everybody gets some benefit out of it. Now, when all these things are taken care of, we have done some exercise. And I will just go to the last graph, which shows that if I take these things into account, that what's the difference of, say, Haryana and Maharashtra, or Assam and, say, Odisha? We're getting, what's the behavior of people inside that? Do they save a lot? Unless you save, in that stage it's difficult to push the growth. Because if you save, that goes to form capital. That goes to form whatever is needed for future growth. Now, we have divided the whole nation into high income, middle income, low income, high growth, high income, middle income, low income groups. And I will show three pictures. The why in this inclusive growth the government is important? Because if the government invests 1 rupee in infrastructure, road, bridges, irrigation system, housing, schools, more than 1 rupee of private investment. Because unless the government creates the infrastructure, private will not go. Worldwide proven fact. So government investment is a must necessary condition for the private investment to pick up. And if the private investment picks up, the growth will be faster of those states. And those states will benefit more. And obviously there are schemes like Finance Commission is there who try to help those who are backward states, etc. But unfortunately, the Finance Commission also, this kind of consideration is yet not there. And let me go to show you, after all these things, what we have really got. This is not the final word. This is an experiment which we did. And the experiment will give you some idea about what's going on. Haryana. And these three things show something like this. The first picture shows that if it is very difficult for a common family to postpone consumption and go for I'll consume more in future, looking at the future generation, the children in the family, for example. Let them consume more, I consume less. If it is easy. Obviously, if it has become difficult, then the government has to come forward and invest more. If the postponement is easier, then automatically more savings is generated. The government need not come and put in extra money for that. And what we show is this is a ratio that what the government is spending now and what the government is needed to spend. If it crosses 1, that means the government needs to spend a lot more than what they are spending. Almost in all cases, what we do. This is for the Haryana, and these 3 pictures show 3 things. If we are more patient, what will happen? If it's easier to postpone consumption, what will happen? If the state sets a high growth target, higher than what they are, what will happen? Every case, as we move from 2000 to 2015, the government's needed investment turns out to be a lot more than what they are doing now, in order for the inclusive growth to happen. So that the society in those states care for future generation, care for those who are lower income. This is for Haryana. Then we took a middle income state, which is West Bengal. Then we take a low income states, which is Bihar. Everywhere the same story. What the government is spending, they have to spend more. And as time passes, that requirement becomes higher and higher. Even for different levels of, if I ask you in Assam, are people patient? Do they have patience that they will not consume now, they will consume in future? What will be the answer? If I ask you, is it easy for your family to postpone consumption today for tomorrow so that I save a lot and let the growth be higher? Because if that happens, then the government has less burden. The people come forward, save, puts it in the bank, puts it in the money market, and the state improves. If they don't do that, the government has to finance it. And what we found, as time passes, every state, whether it has a low patience, high income, low income, the requirement is going up for the inclusive growth to happen. Growth, you can calculate. For inclusive growth, what the government is spending, whether that is enough. Not enough. They will spend a lot more than what they are spending now. Cutting across low income, middle income, high income. Difference is there. For high income, like what's happening in Haryana and Maharashtra is not happening in Bihar or Assam for that. That's understandable. But that's worrisome. The government has to come forward a lot more. Can they do it? Depends on us. If we save more, if we are more patient, if we care for the future generation, save from our end, not try to buy, even if we have a television, go for bigger television. We have 1 car, go for 2 cars. We have smaller car, go for bigger car. 1 apartment, not enough. Buy second one. If I do it for that, I am not saving. So I'm not translating it into future formation of capital problems. And that's reflected in what's happening in India across states. Difference, some states apparently people do it better than others. Lot more studies need to be made. That state by state, more details very clearly is found out for the inclusive growth. That's one of the most neglected fields in our whole analysis of growth in India. Let me stop here. I mean, I've spoken a lot, and enough confusion has been created, and that's what I need. As a teacher, if I create more confusion in your mind, you will go back and think, what have I heard? Is that okay? Lots of unclear things, and you think to clear it, that helps. Thank you. There's no time for questions and others, so let's just move on, right? Because we are running very short. Otherwise, I could have taken a couple of questions. let me leave it there because it's really short of time as I can. Thank you all for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you, sir, for your profound and thought-provoking keynote address. Your scholarly insights have truly enriched this seminar. With this, the inaugural session of today's national seminar comes to an end. I sincerely thank all dignitaries, guests, participants for their gracious presence and cooperation. I request all the delegates and participants kindly to proceed for the technical session 1 as per the program schedule. Technical session 1 will be started from 11:50 at the conference hall 1 in our college premises. Thank you all.